Hello and a very good morning. You're watching the breakfast news on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to hold bilateral meeting with US President Barack Obama on sidelines of ASEAN summit. Modi meets Japanese counterpart Shinzo Abe, vows to deepen counter-terror nuclear cooperation. Centre announces special financial package for Andhra Pradesh to fully fund Polavaram irrigation project. Tax concessions also announced. Flexi fare system to be introduced by railways from September 9th. Those travelling by Rajdhani, Shatabdi and Duronto will have to shell between 10 to 50% more. ISRO to launch advanced weather satellite INSAT 3DR from Sriharikota later today. Satellite to supplement meteorological and data relay service of its predecessor. And as Open, Japan's Kiri Nishikori beats Britain's Andy Murray in 5 sets. 3 hours 45 minutes of match sees Murray make his earliest Grand Slam exit of the year. But let's now cut across live to Vientiane, Laos, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi is speaking at the ASEAN summit.
And a sailing expedition and cultural festivals are also planned. I look forward to working with all of you to make this commemoration a success. Thank you very much.
ขอบใจประธานนายกรัฐมนตรีโมดีต่อการคำเมนต์กล่าวเปิดของประธานต่อไปนี้ข้าพเจ้าขอเชิญบรรดาสื่อมวลชนออกจากห้องประชุมของพวกเราให้พวกเราจะได้สืบต่อ
The Prime Minister Narendra Modi there speaking at the 28th ASEAN Summit. Of course, just concluded his speech, and we'll get to those details as and when we get there. Now, the centre has announced a special finance package for Andhra Pradesh. The package includes a funding of the Polavaram irrigation project and tax concessions. Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu welcomed the financial assistance but said that he would have been happier had the state been granted special status.
The centre announcing a special financial package for Andhra Pradesh at a late-night press briefing called by Finance Minister Arun Jaitley. Foremost among them is the Polavaram irrigation project. The centre will fund the cost of the project since the day it was declared a national project, that is 1st April 2014.
Polavaram was one of the issues which was concerned with the Act itself. And from the date when it is declared a national project, its entire funding would be as of 1/4/2014, whatever is the funding fix will be met by the central government.
The centre, however, did not grant special category status to the state, citing constraints placed by the 14th Finance Commission. It, however, announced a special assistance.
To give a special assistance measure for the state of Andhra Pradesh, wherein an amount equivalent to what they would have got if that statement could have been implemented will be compensated to the state by virtue of externally aided projects.
This package is valid for 5 years, which ends in 2020. Andhra Pradesh has been demanding a special category state status from the centre ever since the state's economic powerhouse Hyderabad went to Telangana in the bifurcation.
Already we have released on account a sum of rupees 3975.5 crores towards revenue deficit of the year 2014-15. This is only part of the amount. The balance amount also would be released in installments. We have already given 2,500 crores as support for the state capital. A further amount of 1,050 has been given for backward area grants. There were 2 tax concessions which we have announced. One with regard to accelerated depreciation and one with regard to the investment allowance.
Reacting to the announcement, Union Information and Broadcasting Minister Venkaiah Naidu said in a tweet, "The centre is treating Andhra Pradesh as a special state and a special package has been given, and it is a continuous process till the state becomes self-sufficient." Andhra Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu welcomed the centre's announcement but said he would have been happier had the centre granted special status to the state. He also said the centre should implement its promises in true spirit and in a time-bound manner. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Moving on now, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley has said that the government is running against time for the implementation of the GST by its deadline of April 1st, 2017. Jaitley said that the formalities of collecting proceedings of all the states and sending it to the President for ratification are on. The Constitution Amendment Bill will be notified once the President gives his assent, and any pending issues regarding the bill will be resolved by the Council. Jaitley also added that the passage of the central laws IGST and GST bill are among the important economic legislations for the government during the winter session.
Central legislature will also have to pass two important laws in relation to the GST itself and the interstate GST bill itself. I think these are amongst the important economic legislations. But more important, along with these legislations, I think, if you ask me in terms of economic priorities even outside Parliament, I would say that certainly implementation of the GST is the top priority.
Well, the Indian Railways will introduce a flexi fare system for premium trains like Rajdhani, Shatabdi and Duronto. Changes in fares will come into force from September 9th. This, however, won't apply to tickets that have already been issued in advance for journeys to commence on or after that date. Meanwhile, opposition political parties criticized the Modi government's decision to introduce pricing system, dubbing it an anti-people and an illegal move aimed at stealing money from the public pockets. Under the new system, base fares will increase by 10% with every 10% of berths sold, subject to a prescribed ceiling limit. Other supplementary charges like catering charges, reservation charges, service tax, superfast charge will be levied separately based on applicability. There will be no change in the existing fare for first AC and EC class of travel. For 2AC and chair car, the maximum hike is 50%, while for 3AC, it is 40%.
इंडियन रेलवेज ने वही कॉन्सेप्ट जो वेरिएबल फेयर का कॉन्सेप्ट है जो कि एयरलाइंस वगैरह में भी होता है, और हम भी भारतीय रेल के ऊपर इसको पहले से एक्सपेरिमेंट कर चुके हैं। सुविधा पैटर्न की जो हमारी गाड़ियां चलती हैं उनमें भी एक डायनामिक फेयर सिस्टम है। उसी तरह से जो हमारी स्पेशल ट्रेनें हैं उसमें 30% एक्स्ट्रा के ऊपर भी हमारा एक सिस्टम है। जो हमने गतिमान ट्रेन चलाई है उसमें हमारा डिफरेंट फेयर है।
Moving on, now the backlash of the Apex Court's directive on Kaveri water sharing was felt in Karnataka for the second consecutive day on Wednesday. Protests were held in several districts, including state capital Bengaluru. Farmers have warned of severe agitations if the release of Kaveri water to Tamil Nadu isn't stopped. Karnataka began releasing 10,000 cusecs of water to neighbouring Tamil Nadu late on Tuesday night, a move that has intensified the ongoing protests.
Protests intensified in Karnataka on Wednesday, hours after the state released 10,000 cusecs of Kaveri water to Tamil Nadu. Agitated farmers blocked major roads and highways for the second straight day. Schools and colleges were also forced to shut down. In Mandya, a farmer tried to attempt suicide against the release of Kaveri water to Tamil Nadu. Authorities rushed him to the hospital in time and he was saved. A massive protest was also organized in state capital Bengaluru, where protesters burnt effigies of Chief Minister Siddaramaiah and his Tamil Nadu counterpart J. Lalita.
ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಜಡ್ಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅವೈಜ್ಞಾನಿಕವಾಗಿಂದ ಅದರಿಂದ ಅದರ ವಿರುದ್ಧ ಮೊದಲು ಹೋರಾಟ, ಎರಡನೇದು ತಮಿಳುನಾಡು ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಭ್ರಷ್ಟ ಡಿಕ್ಟೇಟರ್ಶಿಪ್ ಏನಿದೆ, ಸರ್ವಾಧಿಕಾರ.
ಅವ್ರ ಬೆಳೆಗೆ ನೀರಿಲ್ಲ, ಸಿದ್ದರಾಮಯ್ಯ ನಮ್ಮ ರೈತರಿಗೆ ನೀರಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬಿಡಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು, ಕುಡಿಯಕ್ಕೆ ನೀರಿಲ್ಲ ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ರೈತರಿಗೆ ನೀರು ಬಿಡಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ತಮಿಳುನಾಡು ಸರ್ಕಾರಕ್ಕೆ ನೀರು ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ಅದು ಖಂಡನೆ ಮಾಡಿ.
Political parties also called for a shutdown in the state. Opposition leaders accused the government of not representing its case efficiently in the court.
अपना स्टेट का फार्मर्स को
जस्टिस मिलना चाहिए, उसका बारे में अपना सरकार भी सोचना चाहिए। आजकल बहुत नेग्लिजेंस से आज क्या ये लोग ऐसा कर रहे हैं, इसको अपन कंडेम नहीं, ये तो नहीं होना चाहिए।
Main problem is that there are lots of shortcomings in the tribunal award, the Kaveri Water Tribunal Award. Until those shortcomings are going to be removed, this problem is not going to be settled. So that is the major demand of the people of Karnataka, and I hope the Honorable Supreme Court will hear it.
On Tuesday night, Karnataka released 10,000 cusecs of Kaveri water to Tamil Nadu following the Supreme Court's directive. The state government, however, has decided to approach the apex court with a modification petition explaining its difficulties in implementing the order. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the all-party delegation which visited Jammu and Kashmir this week has once again appealed for calm in the state. The delegation has asked the centre and the state governments to take steps to initiate a dialogue with all stakeholders, but asserted that there can be no compromise on the issue of national sovereignty.
The members of the delegation are of the opinion that there is no place for violence in a civilized society, and that there can be at the same time no compromise on the issue of national sovereignty.
2 days after its return from Jammu and Kashmir, the all-party delegation once again appealed for an end to the cycle of violence in the state. Taking stock of its interactions with various sections during its 2-day visit, delegation members reiterated the need to resolve all issues through dialogue and discussion. It has also asked the government to undertake some confidence-building measures.
इस समस्या को हल करने के लिए एक ड्यूअल ट्रैक अप्रोच अपनाना चाहिए। एक ट्रैक है आपको सबसे पहले लोगों के अंदर कॉन्फिडेंस जताने के लिए, उनके अंदर जो अलगाव का जो फीलिंग जो बढ़ा हुआ है उसको कम करने के लिए कॉन्फिडेंस बिल्डिंग आप लागू करिए।
जब तक वैली में जो पॉलिटिकली अपना एक शक्ति रखते हैं, कुवत रखते हैं, बगैर उनको पूछे या बगैर सलाह उनका लिए आगे बढ़ना भी बड़ा मुश्किल होगा।
स्थिति को सामान्य करने के लिए मूल भूमिका प्रांतीय सरकार का है और हमारा आशा है कि हम देखेंगे कि वो जो कदम उठाए उससे समस्या हल होगा, थोड़ा स्थिति सामान्य होगा। केंद्रीय सरकार का काम होगा प्रांतीय सरकार को मदद करना।
The delegation also requested the government to take effective steps to ensure security for all citizens and provide medical treatment to citizens and security personnel injured in the agitation. Vishal Daya's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, fresh clashes broke out in North and South Kashmir on Wednesday, even as normal life remained disrupted for the 61st day in a row due to the ongoing curfew. In Anantnag district, 4 people were injured in an attack between protesters and security forces. Elsewhere, 3 soldiers were injured in an attack on an army convoy in Kralgund area of Kupwara district. Here are the details.
At least 4 people were injured in fresh clashes with security forces in South Kashmir's Anantnag district on Wednesday. According to sources, a violent clash broke out when security forces tried to stop a protest rally in the district. In another incident, 3 army jawans were injured in a militant attack on an army convoy in North Kashmir's Kupwara district. The incident took place when some militants indiscriminately opened fire on the convoy that was heading towards Handwara district. The group immediately fled the scene. Security forces cordoned off the area. Search operations are on to nab the militants. Meanwhile, normal life remained affected in the valley as curfew was reinforced in parts of Srinagar. Restrictions on the assembly of people also remained in force to maintain law and order.
ये लगातार चल रहा है कि आर्मी पे हमले हो रहे हैं, क्रॉस बॉर्डर फायरिंग हो रही है, पठानकोट पे हमला हो रहा, कश्मीर में आतंकवाद भयानक बढ़ रहा है, तो ये तो बहुत बुरा हाल है। आज 64 दिन हो गए कर्फ्यू लगे हुए, तो हालात बहुत खराब है। सरकार संभाल, इसलिए सिर्फ बातें हैं, भाषण है, और भाषण और बातों से जो इस सरकार के मंत्री करते हैं कुछ नहीं होना जाना।
The Hurriyat conference said the tough steps being mulled by the centre against separatist leaders is an attempt to mislead people. He asked the centre to come out with details of the favours extended by it. On Tuesday, the centre issued a statement announcing that it was considering a cut in the funds spent on separatists.
सरकार वही कार्रवाई करेगी जो राष्ट्र हित में होगा। किसी का नाम लेने की आवश्यकता नहीं है। सरकार कार्रवाई किसी के खिलाफ भी करेगा तो देश हित में करेगा।
BJP PDP alliance, they committed in writing in their 11-page document of agenda for alliance to talk with all people irrespective of their political ideologies, all stakeholders in Jammu and Kashmir, which includes the Hurriyat. That was the PDP demand. But they never allowed the government to act on it.
Indian government, Indian democracy, Indian civilization has survived only through the art of listening and conversation. And I would rather advise them to think twice before going for these kind of reaction, which is fundamentally knee-jerk and which is not going to help the cause in the valley as far as restoration of normalcy is concerned.
75 civilians have been killed so far and more than 10,000 have been injured in the ongoing unrest over the killing of separatist militant Burhan Wani in July. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, India on Wednesday summoned Pakistan High Commissioner Abdul Basit to lodge a strong protest over the discourtesy shown to India's envoy to Pakistan, Gautam Bambawale. Bambawale was scheduled to speak at an event that was cancelled in the last minute. He had received an invite for the event a couple of weeks ago. Bambawale was told about the cancellation just half an hour before the event. The organizers did not give a reason for the cancellation. Meanwhile, describing Kashmir as Pakistan's lifeline, Army Chief General Raheel Sharif has said that Islamabad will continue to support the people of Kashmir on diplomatic and ethical fronts.
इस जिदोजहद का असल हल नहत्ते कश्मीरी अवाम पर गोलियों की बारिश करने में नहीं, बल्कि अवाम की आवाज सुनने और उनकी उमंगों का एहतराम करने में है। कश्मीर के मसले का हल UN रेजोल्यूशंस पर अमल करने से ही मुमकिन है।
Well, it's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Right back.
Art arisen from a multi-hued cultural canvas. Tradition and cultural fervour dating back centuries. And encircling them all, there's a magic that awes. Embrace your nation's brilliant human warmth. Watch Colours of India, Sundays at 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, during the third day of his UP Mahayatra, Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi will travel a distance of 110 kilometers and cover Basti, Gonda and Faizabad districts. Earlier on 6 September, Rahul Gandhi embarked on a Mahayatra from Deoria to Delhi. He began his nearly 2,500 kilometer long yatra from Panchlari Kritpura village of Rudrapura assembly of Deoria district. The Congress leader began his yatra interacting with farmers with a door-to-door campaign. Later, in a Khat Sabha, the Congress leader came down heavily on the Union government and Prime Minister Narendra Modi for neglecting the farming community. The Deoria to Delhi Yatra is part of the Congress campaign to end its 27-year exile from Par in Uttar Pradesh. Rahul Gandhi will also hold road shows at various places during the Yatra. During the Mahayatra, he will cover as many as 233 assembly constituencies to reach out to the people.
त्रस्त है, मोदी जी मस्त है। कभी वो अमेरिका जाते हैं, कभी जापान जाते हैं, कभी चाइना जाते हैं। मैं चाहता हूं कि मोदी जी का अटेंशन हिंदुस्तान के किसानों के यहाँ भी आए।
Congress Vice President seems to be speaking a lot about Prime Minister's Videsh Yatra. What it does to the state, to this country's prestige, what it does to our strategic and diplomatic affairs is something on which I suggest he does a bit of homework.
Mr. Rahul Gandhi has to be informed of the fact that, number one, because of the loot by the Congress party for the last 5 years, today we see that the farmers of Uttar Pradesh are bereft of even the basic necessities of life, like a cot, what is called as a cart.
वहाँ के स्थानीय कांग्रेस से के कार्यकर्ताओं ने वो प्रोग्राम बनाया है, वहाँ की पीसीसी ने कार्यक्रम बनाया है, और जब बड़ा कोई कार्यक्रम होता है तो इस तरह की छोटी घटनाएं होती हैं, उसको तवज्जो नहीं देना चाहिए, लेकिन जिस प्रकार से उनको हर जगह जन समर्थन मिल रहा है, ये दूसरे पार्टियों के लिए सरदर्द पैदा कर सकता है.
Well, moving on now, the Gujarat police has filed a charge sheet in the Una Dalit flogging case against 34 accused. Nearly 2 months after 7 Dalit youths were flogged allegedly by self-styled cow vigilantes at Una in Gujarat, the police filed charge sheets against 34 accused, including 4 police personnel, before the court of the Additional Chief Judicial Magistrate of Una. The CID also filed a separate charge sheet against 3 minors in the case before the Juvenile Justice Board at Junagadh. It is alleged that on July 11th, 7 Dalits of Una Taluk were thrashed allegedly by cow vigilantes when they were skinning a dead cow. Later, 4 of these Dalit youths were taken to Una town, where they were tied up to a vehicle and assaulted. The matter came to light after a video of flogging allegedly made by the vigilantes went viral. Here's a look now at the flood situation in Bihar. With 8 fresh deaths, the toll in Bihar floods has risen to 213. The rivers like Punpun, Kamlaban and Kosi are flowing above the danger level, while the Ganga is flowing below the danger mark. The flood condition continued to prevail in 12 districts of Bihar, including Patna. A total of 79 blocks and 613 panchayats are still inundated. Flood waters have affected more than 40 lakh people so far. The government has deployed 2,973 boats for evacuation, while the national and state disaster response forces have already been deployed in affected districts.
रात का जी अभी हम लोग यहाँ 2-3 रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन एसडीएस की टीम आई है, 3-4 बोट लगा के हम लोग भी अंदर गए हैं, और सब जितने लोग वहाँ फंसे हुए हैं, जिन्हें जरूरत की चीज़ है, जैसे पानी, दूध, उसके अलावा मेडिसिन, अभी सुधा डेयरी तरफ द्वारा भी मंगाया गया है, और एसयू अंचलाधिकारी जियो साहब के द्वारा अभी कुछ चूड़ा और गुड़ का व्यवस्था किया गया है, उसको भी हम लोग वहाँ भेजने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं. जो लोग वहाँ अंदर फंसे हुए हैं, उन्हें भी बहुत से लोगों को बाहर निकाला गया है.
Well, the Indian Space and Research Organization is all set to launch the GSLV F-05 rocket carrying an advanced weather satellite. In another milestone for India in space technology, ISRO will launch an advanced weather satellite INSAT 3DR today from Sriharikota at 4:10 p.m. GSLV F-05 in its 10th flight would launch the 2,211 kilogram advanced weather satellite INSAT 3DR into geostationary transfer orbit. The satellite from there will reach the final geosynchronous orbit on its own. The satellite has an operational life of 10 years. It has an extra dimension of monitoring the weather through its atmospheric sounding system, which provides profiles of temperature, humidity and integrated ozone. Well, here's a look now at what else is slated to make news during the course of the day in our segment, The Day Ahead. President Pranab Mukherjee will be the chief guest at an event held in Vigyan Bhavan to mark the International Literacy Day later today. Human Resource Development Minister Prakash Javadekar will preside over the function. Meanwhile, Minister of State for Human Resource Development Dr. Mahendra Nath Pandey and Upendra Kushwaha will be the guests of honour. Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari will embark on a 2-day visit to Bihar from today. On the first day of his visit, Vice President will be in Nalanda. He will first go to St. Michael's School at Diga to interact with students. After the event at St. Michael's School, the Vice President is scheduled to reach the BCCI for inauguration of its 90th anniversary celebrations. Arvind Kejriwal will undertake a 4-day visit to Punjab beginning today. During his tour, the national convener will meet party volunteers, observers and workers. He will also meet those who are unhappy over not getting party tickets. Kejriwal's visit to Punjab assumes significance as the Aam Aadmi Party was facing a crisis after Chotepur was removed as the party's Punjab convener for allegedly accepting money on the basis of a sting video. Shifting focus to international news now, Denmark has become the first country in the world to reportedly buy data from the Panama Papers leak. Denmark's tax minister said that everything suggested that it was useful information and that the country would pay 1 million euros to the Panamanian law firm Mossack Fonseca for the same. He said that the information will help the country investigate whether 500 to 600 Danes who feature in the offshore archive may have evaded tax. While many other nations are believed to have paid for the data in the past, this is the first time a government has agreed to pay data leaked from the law firm involved in the Panama Papers. The papers published in April were the biggest leak in history, revealing huge offshore tax evasion. In India, a multi-agency group of various investigative agencies has been formed by the government to go into the disclosures made in the list, which includes about 500 Indian entities. Here's a roundup of the other international news in World Wrap. Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump has said that he will expand all areas of the U.S. military if he wins November's election. At a rally in Philadelphia, Trump called for more troops, more planes and more boats. He also demanded U.S. generals to come up with a plan to defeat the Islamic State in his first 30 days in the White House, adding that the U.S. should work with any country that shares the goal to defeat Islamic State. Meanwhile, Mexican Finance Minister Luis Videgaray resigned following the visit of Donald Trump last week. Videgaray was seen as the main organizer of the controversial meeting between Trump and President Enrique Pena Nieto. The visit was widely criticized by Mexicans both in the national press and on social media. A group of 292 Syrians has returned to the Syrian town of Jarablus. This marks the first formal return of civilians in Syria since Turkey launched a military incursion 2 weeks ago to push out Islamic State militants. Meanwhile, Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has suggested that he and the US are ready to drive out Islamic State from its stronghold of Raqqa. Erdogan said US President Barack Obama floated the idea of a joint action against the militants when they met at the G20 summit in China. Well, the US says Libyan forces are close to vanquishing IS from its last holdouts in the city of Sirte. US Defense Secretary Ash Carter said on Wednesday that Libyan forces, whom it supports by airstrikes since the beginning of August, had cornered IS in one small section of the city. Libyan forces said on Saturday that they had advanced against some of Islamic State's last holdouts in the city. Moving on to some sports news now. The 15th Summer Paralympics have been declared open during a mammoth opening ceremony at the Maracanã Stadium in Rio de Janeiro. The Paralympics brings together some 4,300 athletes from over 170 nations in more than 20 sports. Thousands filled into iconic Maracanã Stadium on Wednesday for the opening ceremony of the Games under the motto, A New World. At the opening ceremony, a magnificent display of fireworks were set off on the roof of the stadium, leading into samba music. However, the colour and goodwill on show was somewhat punctured when the Belarus team mounted a protest against the International Paralympic Committee's decision to ban Russia from Rio 2016. The Paralympics will run till 18th September. Meanwhile, back home in India, a foundation working to ensure rights of Paralympic athletes demanded television broadcast of the Games.
Well, it's my first game, so I'm just excited just to see all the athletes. I'm very excited to obviously see my girlfriend swim. I'm hoping that she can medal again. It'll be her third time at the Paralympic Games and hopefully her third medal. It's the first time I've been to something like this.
UNCRPD रेटिफाई किया था हमारे देश ने 2007 में. अब यूनाइटेड नेशंस के कन्वेंशन को रेटिफाई करते हैं, उसको अपनाते हैं और उसके बावजूद इतना बड़ा डिस्क्रिमिनेशन हमारे खिलाड़ियों के साथ, हमारे देशवासियों के साथ, हमारे जो 70 मिलियन पीपल विद डिसेबिलिटीज हैं हिंदुस्तान में, उनके साथ ये डिस्क्रिमिनेशन किया जा रहा है.
Well, news now from the US Open, where second seed Britain's Andy Murray made his earliest Grand Slam exit of the year as Japan's Kei Nishikori fought back to win their US Open quarterfinal in 5 sets. The Wimbledon champion lost to Nishikori 1-6, 6-4, 4-6, 6-1, 7-5 in 3 hours and 57 minutes. Sixth seed Nishikori will now face the winner of the quarterfinal match between Juan Martín del Potro and Stan Wawrinka. Meanwhile, Serena Williams has reached the semi-final of the US Open after beating 5th seed Romanian Simona Halep in 3 sets. The American 6-time champion won a gripping contest 6-2, 4-6, 6-3 to close in on a 23rd Grand Slam singles title. Williams will now play Czech 10th seed Karolina Pliskova in the semi-finals on Friday.
She noted at the 2016 US Open.
Well, that's it on this edition of the Breakfast News. Have a good day.